104 win over the Cavaliers. So the Bucks go to 16-9. Cavs go to 13-12. Both teams are still doing well. And then the Bulls will be in town tomorrow night, the Chicago Bulls, to play at the Romo Fijo. So 7 o'clock tomorrow night is your tip-off. So right when we get out of here at 6:30 is when your coverage will begin. And then the Cavs are kind of back and forth on the road. They'll go play the Timberwolves in Minnesota. The Kings will be here. I know we gave away tickets for that game last week. So people going to see Tristan Thompson and the Sacramento Kings on Saturday night. Some people in the break taking exception with my quick math. You know, somebody texted me 63% of statistics are made up, and I said that would merely leave only probably 42% left. And so I think that's what I arrived at. I always go to the masters when it comes to any manner of math or figure it outs numerically here on the show.
Mr. Simpson, how do you respond to the charge that petty vandalism such as graffiti is down 80%? While heavy sack beatings are up a shocking 900%.
Oh, people can come up with statistics to prove anything, Kent. 40% of all people know that.
40.
Of course, a classic episode there of Kent Brockman's Smart Line with one Homer J. Simpson. Yes, obviously, the answer is 38%.
Here's your sack, but you have to provide your own doorknobs.
40%. So, that whole bit, Cavaliers and the Bucks.
Okay.
And having fun
Okay.
there on
Right?
They pulled a lot of money out of Joel Osteen's walls last week.
Like what, like $48?
About $600,000 was came out of the wall. Joel Osteen is this mega church douchebag down there in Houston. He's all coiffed, and he's one of these prosperity pastors, and, you know, as a sucker born every minute.
Now,
he's right there to take
He
you.
wants all his followers to prosper, right? Or is it just him?
He wants them to prosper, but first he wants them to give him their money, and then I guess he intercedes on their behalf with Jesus. I'm still not quite sure, like, what this...
They got to pay for his jet.
The religious version of supply-side economics is, or trickle down, or whatever. Anyway...
It's like one of those things where the show Righteous Gemstones is basic... You know, they're making fun of these, but they can't be as ridiculous as some of the real stories that happen.
It's going to be really hard in 2021 to write satire in sitcoms.
A very obscure reference, but one that is spot on. Joel Osteen looks like the toy Santa in the Santa Claus 3. When he
Yes, he does.
When he accidentally clones
Makes a
himself.
doll.
Yes,
Yeah.
I was like, he looks just like that weirdly, why is your skin so perfect?
Yeah,
Like,
Joel Osteen also famously refused to open his church to help people who were getting washed away in one of those hurricanes that went through Houston a couple of years ago. But in 2014, there was a very publicized robbery, quote unquote, of his church. He had been robbed of $600,000, and it was still an open case. Well, last week, a plumber was doing some work at the church, and he found bags and bags and bags of money in the walls. And so, again, I don't quite understand. Listen, people are like, oh, Joel Osteen was trying to get insurance, or he stole the money, whatever. I'm like, I don't know why you would put it in the wall.
Like popularity.
No, this
no
feels
one's
like
ever going to find it.
right.
But rich people have plenty of ways
places
to
to
hide
hide.
hide their money.
This
They
seems
don't-
like the person that did the robbery hid it in the wall and was just trying to get back in there to get it at some point.
Nah, I don't think
like
Or
they
like
got-
they work for the church?
like they got fired and had no way to get back and get the money. Well, they found out the story broke when the plumber called the morning bullpen at the Bull 100.3 New Country in Houston. I feel bad for these guys, by the way, when they have to change it to the morning arm barn.
Why would they call
But-
him and not the cops? Why would he call the radio and not the cops?
Because I think this show is doing a bit on, like, you know, what's the wildest thing you ever fouled or something. And this guy calls in and he goes, I'm a plumber. I'll play you the call here. I'm the news coverage down there, Channel 2 in Houston.
It was the craziest phone call we've ever had.
Meet George Lindsay. He's the morning show co-host for the Morning Bullpen at...
Not George Goober Lindsay, by the way. I don't want people to be confused with the late George Goober Lindsay from the Andy Griffith Show. I could just see the text coming in. Alan, is that George Goober Lindsay from the Andy Griffith Show? No, Doc. This is George Lindsay from the Morning meltdown. What's it called? The
Morning bullpen.
Morning
Morning
bullpen,
bullpen.
right?
Meet George Lindsay. He's the morning show co-host for the Morning Bullpen at 100.3 The Bull.
It's the greatest job ever.
This morning, the co-host asked people about valuable things they found and received a call from a plumber who recently did some work at Lakewood Church.
There was a loose toilet in the wall, and we removed the tile. Well, they removed the tile. Went to go remove the toilet, and I moved some insulation away, and about 500 envelopes fell out of the wall. And I was like, oh, wow.
Back in 2014, the mega church made headlines after someone stole $600,000.
Obviously, this case remains under investigation.
7 years later, a man fixing a toilet at the church discovered money in the walls.
I went ahead and contacted the maintenance supervisor that was there, and I went ahead and turned it all in.
In a statement, Lakewood Church said recently while repair work was
Of
being...
course, you guys are all on record, if you were in a similar situation, as most likely stuffing your pants with envelopes of money.
What are they going to do? I mean, technically, it's probably blackmail or just extortion or something. If I'm like, oh, are you gonna try to sue me with your stolen money, church?
With your ill-gotten gains?
And I know how much plumbers charge. He's fine. You don't need to steal no $600,000.
In Houston, no less.
Yeah.
A plumber in
Yeah.
Houston. He's probably got a house of the size of the Lakewood Church there.
done at Lakewood Church. An undisclosed amount of cash and checks were found. Lakewood immediately notified the Houston Police Department and is assisting them with their investigation. HPD has not confirmed if the money stolen years ago and the money found by the plumber are related. But Lindsay says investigators would have never known about the money if it wasn't for the plumber who discovered it. There's still a lot of questions.
If it's that money, why did they never go back and get that money? It's like I said, it's like a movie. I really think I could make a 10-part series on Netflix out of it.
Here's the thing.
But 10, and this goes back to the problem. This is not a 10-part series. It's a 3-parter, tops.
How would anybody know if you took that money? If you reported 39 envelopes instead of 40, how would they know that you took one? The only way they would know is if the person who stole it and hid it counted it and was like, I'm missing some money.
The bag is light.
Then they have to admit that they stole and hid the money.
It is interesting, though, because it seems very coincidental that it would be the exact same amount of money that they got robbed of 7 years
Right.
ago.
Yeah. That's my point.
Now, the follow-up to this is, and again, this is another one of these things that I don't understand. I don't understand the reward mentality in this country, right? If it's for a specific thing, if they're like, if you find my daughter, we've got a $25,000 reward. I get that.
Cheap kid.
You're doing some detective work. Well, people aren't flush with cash. I mean, you're doing a bit of detective work. The plumber is mad that they haven't offered him a cut of the loot.
That's why I should have just taken it. That's why I should have just taken it.
And, first of all, I thought you didn't want a handout, guys. Second of all, this was an accident. You hit a hammer into the wall doing some work, and money poured out.
Yeah, who's the person that loosened that toilet? Do they get a cut? Who's the fat
guy who
ass
just
that got that toilet wiggly?
That's right.
Give them a little bit of money.
Hey, how about me back here? I had the burrito that day at the church cafeteria.
Bro,
I haven't seen dime one.
Yeah, I plopped down on this toilet, started wiggling.
You're welcome.
It started a whole chain reaction of them finding $600,000.
The plumber says he's, quote, a little upset that he hasn't gotten a response from Joel Osteen. He said that that the guy had mentioned the money in his sermon, and he was hoping that the pastor would have mentioned his good deed. So essentially what this guy is saying is, hey, I could have stolen it. I didn't. In a church, mind you. Forget what you think of Joel Osteen and all of his shenanigans. If you're a person who doesn't believe in stealing things, that's not your money. This guy, though, apparently thinks that he deserves a cut because he happened
But listen,
to be fixing the toilet. What?
I sympathize. That takes a certain type of discipline, man. We've been talking about this whole Brinks truck and the money flying.
What discipline? To not take money that's not yours?
Yes, because no one knows about it.
No one would have any idea.
No one would know.
You don't know how long it's been in there?
Just like Christ would have wanted.
I understand that.
But the
I want to be
plumber's
like
not
Christ,
a
but I'm
Christian.
not Christ.
He never claimed to be.
I don't know that the plumber's not a Christian.
But just because he found the money in a church doesn't mean that he believes any of that.
67% of people who claim to be Christians, Mary,
Are made
act
up.
nothing like Christians. That's right. It's all made up.
I'm just saying, man. That takes a certain type of discipline, and it is. I would feel like it's God testing me.
First of all,
isn't it God's will that you have the money? Like,
You're
isn't
the
that
one who
always the
found
thing?
it.
God
Yeah.
acts in mysterious ways. You're just in there.
He put that in
doing
your life
some
for a
plumbing,
reason.
and then all of a sudden you got $600,000 falling
He giveth.
into your hands.
Listen.
in envelopes. Are you not supposed to take it?
Religious people in general are very easily, you can convince yourself of anything, right?
Yeah.
You already believe in a whole bunch of weird stuff. You can convince yourself of anything. Like, this was meant to be. He was probably in there with a crew of guys, by the way, who would have seen him take the money. And I guarantee you there was a conversation for about 30 seconds about, should we or should we? You know, that's human nature.
Yeah.
I don't begrudge anybody looking at the other guy and going, should we?
Okay, so
like, I get that.
We're doing all these renovations here, right? All in the building. If you
No, these are not renovations. They're like putting walls up.
whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
If you were to stumble into a part of the building that and you see in the wall and you peek in and there's an envelope and you found an envelope full of cash in this building, you would not take it.
I would love to take it, but it's not mine.
But you don't. It's in the wall. It's nobody's.
The walls aren't mine. I don't own this building.
That's my point. You don't have no idea how long it's been there. That money could have been in there for 70 years. The person's
my
never
business.
coming back for it. You're calling the cops.
Listen, if they
You're
don't
calling
figure
the
out,
cops, or you're leaving the cash money. You're leaving the envelope there.
I would walk out on management, and then a week later, when one of them was driving a Range Rover, I'd go, I shouldn't have done that. When Keith Kennedy's tooling around in a McLaren, I go, oh, come on.
kept
A,
that
how did he get
money.
in there? B, what a nice car that is,
It's
and aren't I a
nobody's
dope?
money.
listen, the way
It's nobody's money.
It's someone's money.
They're dead.
They're
For all
away.
the people who
Listen,
you think are dead, this isn't a scenario of a dead guy's money.
I'm not saying you're not making a good point. You can absolutely make that case. I'm simply saying it's not my money.
Yeah,
and here's the thing.
it can be.
With a flick of the wrist, it's now mine.
If they don't figure out this key to the bathroom situation, they're going to find other things hidden in
In
the
the
walls
walls.
here. Because
What's
every
going
time
on?
every time I try to go to the bathroom, the key's like someone's already in there.
Yeah.
and so it's just like it's a.
You
a
don't have a
nightmare.
key on your?
I don't. No one gave me
Oh,
a
I have a key on my ring. I just walk around looking like a goddamn janitor today.
I need one, I guess, because they keep like the community keys that keep going missing. But also, it's smart what Alan's doing. Because he's on record on the show saying, "Oh, I
would
wouldn't take the money."
never touch
So then, if there's
money.
money missing, then you go,
know it's not out.
They're gonna call me.
"Oh, it's not Alan." He said he'll never take the money.
Mary said she wanted to start a YouTube gambling channel. I wonder who on the show would be the most likely to steal this money.
Of course, I don't know why you guys think I'm such a dummy. Of course, that's what I'm doing. Shh, don't say that.
that's
no
the-
one would suspect me.
I figured it
It's
out.
the perfect crime.
And that's why I say I sympathize with this guy, because honestly, in my heart of hearts, I know I would probably give the money back or tell someone about the money, because I am too paranoid to think like I'm not going to get away with it. And I know it will be on my conscience, like this money could be used for, this is some guy.
No,
You know they're not
I
gonna
would
use
think
it
it's,
right.
it's
Your
some
words,
fundraiser
your
down the
words,
hall.
your words give you away. And the way that you ranked your concerns were as follows.
I would be
A,
angry.
I'm too paranoid. B, it would be on my conscience.
It would.
Conscience was not first. Paranoia was first.
Getting found out was
Getting
first.
found out was first.
No, I
And
would,
here's my thing,
I
too,
would
though,
give it
if
back
you-
and would be angry.
Even if you got found out, I feel like they would understand. If you're like, yeah, man, I found $600,000, I put $10,000 in my pocket.
No, because I would
They'd be
think
like, yeah,
if
we
I
get
found
it.
it down the hall, I would automatically associate it with like some fundraiser they're doing for
In the wall. They're hiding fundraiser money in the wall.
No one
It's
put
not
it in on
in a
accident.
red bucket.
Yeah,
No.
it's not
It's
for
like-
cancer kids.
There's not someone standing by, like ringing a
But that's
bell.
the thing,
going,
that's what I would think about.
And Poundcake's like, "Oh my god, I just found a whole bucket full of money."
The initial robbery 7 years ago, cash and checks and credit card information basically got scooped out of a safe at the church and absconded with, right? So clearly somebody who did work there, your theory is probably the best one, Bill, somebody who did work there,
Shoved it in a wall.
how's that work though? You knock a panel out after you decide you're going to take it?
I think it's
or do you
like-
find a loose panel and then go, I've got access to the safe, I'm going to squirrel this money away and come back for it, but never come.
I think you do it through the ceiling. Like if you move one of these tiles,
Yeah, like a
and then
drop
you can
ceiling,
see
you just-
in between the walls, and you just drop it down there. But how do you get it then? Then you have to knock out the wall to go get it, unless you're
Yeah,
gonna
they
James
probably
Bond
didn't
it.
figure that out.
Something. Mission Impossible yourself. You're hanging by a string.
I don't know what $600,000 altogether looks like. I don't know how tall it is.
you know what? I bet
don't know
it's-
how wide it is.
It's not as much as you think it is. Because if you think of like
Depends on
10,
the nominations.
if it's all hundreds,
Well, the guy said that a whole lot of envelopes fell out because they were probably like tithing envelopes or offering envelopes, right? This is a church. So there were probably all this money dispersed throughout a ton of envelopes
yeah,
that were given to them, or I don't know how these grifters organize all their money.
I think I would want all the money together before I turn it in, before I alert the authorities. I want to grab all the money out and just like lay on it, like just throw it up in the air one time before.
then
like,
your fingerprints are all over it.
yes, but they know I didn't come in with it. There's cameras everywhere. I'm like, I found this.
As long as you return it all, you're like, you're going to find some of my butt fibers on there because I was rolling around naked on the money.
I played in it, but it's not
all there. I just,
I'm sorry, redirect. What are butt fibers?
You know what they are.
I don't know what they are.
Would you take the money, Bill?
Fibers of the butt. I would not.
You're such a liar.
Have none of you seen
Face.
Old Country for No Country for Old Men or Old Country for No Men?
Yeah, I've seen
Right?
it.
No, I haven't.
That doesn't,
Somebody's
spoiler.
going to come and find that money. And they're going to be mad.
Anton Chigurh. He's coming for Woody Harrelson, then he's coming for
with
you.
the sweetest boy haircut. Hair.
I'm willing to take that risk. But then at the same time, if a church is willing to steal from itself and cover it up, they'll probably kill you. Right?
Let me reiterate that I'm the atheist and I wouldn't take the money because it's not mine.
Yeah, but it's nobody's, is my point.
It's nobody's.
It's wall money.
It's nobody's
It doesn't belong to anybody.
But the point is...
It's like money on the street. That's nobody's money.
This was money that parishioners all gave to this church.
You don't know that.
500 envelopes.
They didn't
Yes.
say they were tithing envelopes.
No. What I'm saying is that people have come out and said, well, this sucks because, people at this church gave money. That's the whole business model for this church. Give us your money. And so people do it. Ostensibly, they think they're helping the community or whatever because, these mega churches put up all kinds of signs.
Maybe
and
I
they
wouldn't
go,
take the money from the
we're going to
church.
give this money to blah, blah, blah. And then the organizations go, well, we're going to have money.
Okay.
And meanwhile, he's flying out of town on a private jet.
I would not take the money from church. I would take the money from this work.
What work?
This building. If I found wall money in this building, they weren't going to give that to a
First of all,
charity.
how would you find wall money before a construction crew?
Because I'm very sneaky.
I was like, that's not the question. She's just saying if she did.
She's just saying she wants to find some money.
I see.
That's all I ever want is to find money. That's my whole
find
goal
money.
in life, just to find money.
Yeah, that's a gambler's mentality.
Yeah.
Yes. I will find money in this machine and it will come pouring out.
Yes.
I will put in more than it kicks out.
No.
But that's what happens.
I've never left down.
Nah. Good for you. And they
That's why
say
I'm
the
so
house
rich.
always wins. They're liars.
House wins if you find money in it.
I've got to take a break. I will have Legacy Village, $50. That's money you can have. I will give you $50 to Legacy Village. Do a little shopping over there on the east side. So we'll get to that in a bit. 35192 if you want to.